Uh, just a little bit of his introduction, which will again not do entire justice to the massive body of work that he's done. Mr. Himanshu is the founder and CEO of Center of Strategic Mindset. His mission is to groom strategic minds who can deliver bold impact. He featured among the world's top 100 executive coaches in leadership, strategy, and culture, and is among the leading 50 thinkers in the world of coaching. He has coached 581 leaders, including 41 CEOs globally. He is a mindfulness practitioner and a design thinker. His 35 years of professional life spans 6 diverse careers, starting as a geologist, military leader, he was a retired colonel, in the United Nations, then in consulting, corporations, and entrepreneurship. In his last assignment, he headed strategy and leadership development for a $20 billion global technology firm. As a leading thinker, writer, speaker, and coach, he is in the business of inspiring people and enabling them to grow in an exponential and non-linear way. And a few fun facts about him are he enjoys listening to music and playing a few instruments, and occasionally indulges in a few culinary experiments, and his favorites being the leg of the lamb with leftover wine, a recipe called Winter Rhapsody. With all of his rich and diverse experience, he still likes to consider himself a student of life and a teacher of experiences. Sir, I just wanted to add that even without you saying anything, your experience over so long is already inspiring for everybody here.
Does that mean I need not give the talk and I can go away?
No, the talk is an icing on the cake, but your experience so far is amazing.
Thank you. In hindsight, looks good to me also.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, friends. Wherever you are, all of you are in campus or you're at different places, I guess?
Different places.
Different places. So this is an online batch. Okay. So we are here for a conversation, which is something called Design Your Destiny. But let me first wish you all good health, safety, well-being in this very disturbing and pandemic year. This is going to be a kind of protracted war, and the victory out here is survival. You know, a lot of people ask me, okay, what should be the goal for this year? And I say the first foremost goal is survival. The only thing I'm willing to add is graceful survival with whatever you have, whatever constraints, challenges that we are facing, we must look to survive gracefully. So, and in this period, it's even more important that this topic is so relevant that how do we design our destiny in a year like this? See, as the founder and CEO of Centro Strategic Mindset, my mission, as Ayush really said, that to groom strategic minds who can deliver bold impact. A timely thought or a powerful question at a particular point in life can really change our life, provided we are open and receptive and we are willing to take cognizance of the trigger. So in my 35 years of professional life, I have frequently changed courses, often quite disruptive, and as a consequence have truly cherished those diverse and wonderful experiences. And in doing so, I discovered more and more about me, myself, my capabilities, adaptability, aptitude, and most importantly, the sheer joy of rediscovering and reinventing myself. It's like those characters in Greek mythology. You start as a student, whether it's Greek, Indian, Roman, any kind of mythology, you'll find resemblances of such nature. You start as a student, you become a warrior or a business leader, join the Senate, become a senator, later translate your experiences to become a scholar or even a philosopher, and then in your sunset years become the coach, mentor, or wise sage before gradually fading away from this world by leaving a rich legacy. And I'm not saying that it has to be sequential. You can do a variety of these things simultaneously. But that's me. what is that you want? Now, whether you aspire for a journey like this or not, that's not the question. The key question is, do you wish to rediscover yourself and reinvent time and again to realize your peak potential and fulfill your destiny? And if the answer is this, then this conversation, if the answer is yes, then this conversation is going to be really relevant for you. So let me start with a question. And I know Ayush has already shared with me multiple questions, I think 15, 16 I saw. So we have a choice. So at any point of time, when you feel what I'm covering and that question is relevant, just raise your hand and you can ask that question. So we'll make it more interactive. Feel free. So my first question to you is there a destiny and can we shape it? So let's hear from you, anyone. How many of you believe in destiny? Raise your hand.
So Yash, yeah, I definitely believe in destiny, and I think we can shape it as well.
Okay. So the answer I'm hearing, yes, there is something and we can do something to shape it. Okay. Who else?
What we
Yes,
shape
yes.
our destiny.
Yes, Arvish.
What I feel is what we shape becomes our destiny.
What we do, that becomes destiny. Okay. It sounds like wherever you shoot an arrow, that becomes your target to some extent. All right. Anybody else?
So Gautam, this side, I believe it's an intangible, not in our hands. What we have in our hands is our inputs and hard work, and the destiny is beyond our control. So, I mean, we can only put in our 2 cents. Rest is
Yeah. But those 2 cents we must put. And we'll discover how much of it is in our control and how much of it is not. And I like the word you use, that it's a lot more intangible. And now, how do we convert it intangible into tangible? That's what I'm going to share today. To answer this question, I'm going to draw some reflections and insights from how my life has unfolded so far. So, born to a middle class family, average in studies, I barely managed to get admission into a decent university, and somehow did my master's to become an exploration geologist. That that remains my first love. I still have a couple of books of those era which I don't feel like parting with. That's the subject I really cherished. But between completing my master's and getting my first job, I've had 23 recorded rejections or so called failures to get my first job. It was an extremely depressing and demotivating period, but there was this one person in my life who kept telling me, relax, you are destined for something bigger and greater. And who was that person? That was my mom. Now, to be honest, though I found some solace in her support, but I did not believe her much either. Eventually, after 18 months, I landed my first job as an exploration geologist. I immensely enjoyed the tenure until some time. But in November 1985, at New Delhi railway station, while getting down my train, I saw two young military officers, captains dressed in olive green, on platform number 19. Coincidentally, they were both from my university. They had graduated as engineers, but then they shifted their course and they joined forces. So I was really fascinated by them, and I walked up to them and asked, how come you become an officer in the Indian Army? You are supposed to be graduating as engineers. And they said, yes, we did. And then they shared their passionate story, which kind of had a rub off effect on me. And out of exuberance, I asked, tell me, how did you get there? What is that one needs to do to eventually be on the other side? So, well, instead of guiding me, they briefly laughed off and proclaimed that, oh, I'm not cut out for such extreme profession. So, kind of ridicule or mock, but that statement impacted me deeply. And I vowed to give my best shot to qualify. And as luck would have it, eventually I made it in all the rounds. And after 18 months of hard, grueling training, I finally became an officer. and joined my regiment as a young captain. Now, I will always owe my joining to military to those two officers and the trigger that they planted. So it was kind of a chance encounter which planted some triggers, and those triggers had a deep and profound impact on me. As an outcome of good performance, I was nominated for a very prestigious war course at the War College, and this course is meant for senior commanders in the military. It was during this course a new chapter unfolded in my life. We used to have these dignitaries and business leaders, like I have come here to deliver a talk, and people from different walks of life would also come as guest speakers. And they delivered their keynotes and sessions. So one day we had a speaker come over and deliver a keynote on how to create your future. Now, there were two things unusual about the speaker. One, he was a senior Bain partner. And second, he had both his legs amputated in one of the wars. And he was a kind of a Navy SEAL. And from Navy SEAL, he became a senior Bain partner. This journey was quite an inspiration and kind of transformational trigger for me. So it was this second chance encounter and trigger that planted the seed for possibly a shift in future to the other side, which is from consulting or later to cooperation. I had a tenure in United Nations where I learned the aspects of geopolitical diplomacy and the stakeholder management at a very high level. Then I came back when I left forces to start my own consulting firm. I carved out my niche in the areas of change and balanced scorecard professional, which I am. I started implementing strategy for various organizations. And one of those trips, when I was returning from London at Heathrow, I had a chance meeting with Mr. N. Ramadurai, who was the S. Ramadurai, who was the then TCS chairman or vice chairman, actually. So a brief conversation with him, and he asked me what I do, and I said that I lead change and I consult organizations. He said, consulting is fine, but you must implement these ideas, experiments in a big, growing and chaotic organization. Third trigger in my life that kind of had an impact. And then through a strange set of events, I found myself after 8 months joining Tata Consultancy Services as heading strategy and leadership development. But the story doesn't end here. As I was doing these roles, one of my responsibilities was to plant the seeds of innovation as a culture among top leaders. So I had taken a team of 8 very senior leaders for a global innovation program at Tuck School of Business, Dartmouth. Now, as a business coach, I had the opportunity to hop in to any session that I wanted in those 8 days, which are primarily meant for senior leaders. So on one of the days, I stepped out to see what's happening. In my next room, I saw a banner. The banner was a guest talk by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, and the topic is very familiar now. What got you here won't get you there. Now, the topic was very interesting. I stepped inside and I liked the conversation that was going on. And then I asked one of my friends, his name is Clark Allen, that can I get to spend some time with Dr. Marshall Goldsmith? And he said, not a problem. In the evening, we are going for a dinner. Why don't you hop in? And we have the exclusive ride with him and we can have a great conversation. So I did that. I reached there at 5 p.m. I had a chance to sit next to him and started making some conversation. And Marshall has this unique ability to ask questions. He said, hey, Himanshu, what would you be doing 5 years from now? At that point of time, maybe the environment, maybe my feelings, maybe it's part destiny. I told him, Marshall, I'm going to be following your footsteps. I'm going to be a coach. And that's exactly how the life changed 10 years or 11 years from then. This is where I am playing the role of a thinker, writer, speaker, and coach. So when I look back at life, ask myself, who am I? I find this brief expression which Ayush mentioned, student of life and teacher experience. So much so that a trigger inspired by a chance meeting led me, led that trigger into an opportunity where I'm leading a CEO's group coaching journey where he comes as a guest and delivers a couple of sessions there. Now, I'm going to take a pause here. So, this is Marshall Goldsmith. For those who have not seen and met, he's written some of the wonderful books like Triggers and What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So, I'm going to take a pause here and invite some of your reflections, comments on the journey that I just shared with you. And if there are any insights or triggers that you can harness, I'll be happy to hear from you. So take a pause, reflect, and share what comes to your mind and what resonates with your mind in the journey that I shared.
Hi, sir. Utkarsh here.
Yes, Utkarsh.
It is really pleasure to know, sir, the journey you have taken so far. You were actually, following your passions, and you were actually following the correct track and advices you got. So basically, that was really good, and I really believe that interacting with people, you get to know knowledge, and that really builds your network, builds your career, and your soul of your personality. I actually, resonate with you in one idea that, sir, regarding the ideas and regarding, because you wanted to make a strategy and somebody, guided you to help the growing companies to build ideas. On that note, sir, I also believe that definitely, sir, there are a lot of ideas that come into people's mind. Even my mind, I come across a lot of ideas in my free time. So we can definitely, sir, do something that we can always write unsolicited ideas to companies. Obviously, we'll have 99.9% rejection that I already had. But there can be some 0.1% of, you can say, that thought process alignment, which we can actually leverage for a life to come. So I would like to know your thoughts on that.
I missed out your last portion, which is 99%, 1%. Can you repeat that?
What I'm saying is that obviously, sir, whatever unsolicited ideas we'll write across, 99.9%, as per my experience, do not really get the light of the day because they are not really, received. For example, you can say COVID situation. So you always, all of us basically come across some ideas and details about that. But I believe that, even if that failure comes into, you can always leverage that opportunity that actually you have a structured thought process, that you have that confidence that you can put across an idea to table and you can actually leverage that and you can say help or you can build your career, sir.
Thank you. Firstly, Utkarsh, that's a great question you asked. Now, let me share. Great ideas come from a heap of lots of ordinary ideas. So you need to build a mountain of very ordinary looking ideas. But you know what our mind does? Mind judges those crazy, not so good ideas and rejects it. Now, there is a phenomena called creativity faucet. Faucet is a tap. Now, what's this phenomena is that when you open a tap which has been lying closed for a long period of time, what comes out first?
Dust.
Pretty much mud and such sludge that
Air.
Air and dirty water. Okay. So our mind is also like that. When we do not use it in a creative sense, initially it gives us some very ordinary and mediocre ideas. But you know what we do? We close the tap quickly. So what happens when we close the tap? Where does the muck stay?
so it stays inside the mind itself, doesn't vent out.
Yeah. So allow that faucet to flow out for a certain period of time. And only when you let the muck go away, your mind recognizes this pattern that this guy is not accepting good ideas. And after some time, when the muck is gone, then it starts giving you good ideas. That becomes great ideas. So another way, the famous story of Steve Jobs, who took his team to Palo Alto, it was basically a technology junkyard. And when he looked at that junkyard, He was able to spot the GUI in the mouse. He said, this is what I want. So similarly with us also, we should not shy away from creating our idea junkyard. It's okay. But please log your ideas. Because ideas, if you allow them in your brain, from your mind to just be in thin air, then your mind does not recognize. So make a log of your ideas, and over a period of time, so, sometimes what happens that 5-6 different ideas can give birth to a phenomenally excellent idea. It's called convergence. Okay. So feel free to log your ideas, and over a period of time, you'll realize that great ideas start coming. And you don't need too many ideas in life. You just need 4, 5, 6 big ideas. That's where you commit yourself. All right. So what I like to share here is, when I look back into my life, there are a couple of perspectives that come to my mind. The first one, and I like you to make some notes, 2 things can change the course of your life: the books that you read and the people that you meet. How does that sound? Has anyone experienced something like that? In my life, 5 people came and they irreversibly changed my life. Did they do anything? No. But they planted that seed or the trigger which I kind of latched on. By the way, in all these journeys that I made, there was a solid amount of preparation and effort that I did, which is reading, networking, learning variety of curriculum courses, just making myself conceptually rich. On books, in 1997, I was at a place with my co-brother and we were getting ready for a drink. And in the evening, he was a little late. So I looked around, there was a book chest and I found a couple of books. So I picked up one book, which was titled as Leadership Wisdom by Robin Sharma. Since time was less, I kind of flipped through and I found second and third chapter on vision. He talked about that how it is important to have a moonshot vision in life, which means way into the future. Yesterday I was having a call with Mr. Manoj Kohli, who's the head of SoftBank and ex-Bharti Airtel CEO. And he was saying, Himanshu, I plan 10 years ahead. So when I was in 30, I was thinking about 40. When I was 40, I was thinking about 50. And today he's in 60s, he's already thinking about 70s. So have a long range of thinking, moonshot vision. Then there was another chapter in that book which talked about you need to have ironclad rituals. Zanjeeron se jakde hue niyam. So on one side you have a moonshot vision, and the other side you have those solid rituals which will help your vision come alive. Without ritual, nothing comes alive. So 2 things can change the course of life: the books that you read and people that you meet. Now it's your luck. You never know which book may give you that idea which can change your destiny and shape. So please read, and do not give this think, I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm going to post a blog which I wrote, Let Reading Redefine Your Life. In that I've spoken about read 10 minutes or 2 pages a day. That's all. And never feel guilty if you cannot finish a book. Books are not meant to be finished, except when it's fiction. Why I'm sharing this? Because you have this guilt, oh, 5 किताबें खरीदी थी, एक भी नहीं पढ़ी, so now I stop buying. Doesn't matter. Whichever book catches your mind, eye, attention, just buy it. The day you need it, that day you'll have that book in your home. All right, second perspective. Believe in chance encounters, but do not discount the power of intentional choices. See, meeting with those 2 young captains was a chance encounter. But what changed my course is that intentional choice. Meeting with Mr. Ramadurai was a chance encounter. But what changed is my determination that how do I land into a place where I can really create an impact. Seeing that Bain partner, Navy SEAL guy, his talk was a chance encounter. But the idea that no, I got to prepare for next 5-6 years to make the transition is an intentional choice. So that's the perspective number 2. Perspective number 3, before future unfolds or unveils itself, you always see something what I call weak signals. And those who are born, none of you are born in 60s, 70s, so you are not eligible to answer this question. But those days you used to have radio. And radio, when you are not able to kind of catch a particular station, what you would do?
Tune
frequency.
it.
You
Adjust the
tune
frequency.
into, yes. And why do you tune? Because you increase the fidelity of that sound. So in life also it happens like this. The weak signals will be visible to you, but they will be weak signals. Only when you start tuning them, they become quite pervasive and pronounced. And one fine day, I was reflecting on that, and I came up with this quote, which is, can someone read?
Possibilities are nothing but weak signals on the horizon, waiting to be amplified till a leap of faith becomes inevitable.
Yes. What does that mean?
It means that the possibility which is on our door, which is knocking, I think we have to go ahead and grab it, is what I think understanding from this.
Yes. So it says, possibilities are nothing but weak signals on the horizon waiting to be amplified. And how do you amplify? By tuning in. When you tune in, then they become more visible. Okay. So that's my third perspective. And, in all these transitions, two things are very important. Number one, which is the book title, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. That means you need to approach the next phase of your life through different frames of references, different mindset, different thinking. And if you don't change your thinking, how can you achieve or change the outcome? So that's very important. And second is, this boat, if you look at this boat, so when you have to move boat forward, what you do, you push the water backwards, which means you have to push your past. You can't be too gung-ho about past. And that's why I say that past is a place of reference, not residence. Many of us actually reside in the past, and that's where we suffer. We lose out the momentum for future. So coming back to this question, is there a destiny and can we shape it? So here are a couple of my perspectives that I like to offer. Number one, consider destiny is a kind of divine document that is kept secret from us, but the development of roadmap is left to us. Which means it's like the treasure hunt document, which is there, but it will reveal itself as and when we make our own roadmap. And the fulfillment of life is the extent to which we access this document and uncover the details. If we fall short of the details, we will not cover it fully. And the revelation of document depends upon a couple of things: how open you are, how attentive you are, how exploratory you are, and are you the ones who are paying attention to weak signals so that possibilities are seen on the horizon. So that's my number one perspective. It's a divine document, but the roadmap is left to you. Number two, it's a kind of genetic code which is passed on to you through a lineage or your heritage. On that, you have very little control. You can't change your genetic code. but it is part genetic code and part it is experiments that you do with your life. Now, our genetic code is not in our hand, but experiments are certainly in our hand. So that's how it plays out. The third thing is, it is the blueprint, but the details are left for you to unravel. So three things: divine document, genetic code, blueprint is not in your control, but building the roadmap, experimenting, and finding the details are pretty much left to us. And we all would have heard this phrase, the devil lies in details. So here again, a lot is in our hand as to what details to be explored. So in other words, it is part given and part what you make out of. It is part nature, part nurture. And that's how it really takes its course. So I'm going to take a pause and see if any question or any comment from anyone. Does this make sense what I just shared with you?
Sir, one question from my side, Anuj here.
Yes, Anuj.
I just have a confusion between, are we saying the destiny is the destination of the life, or is it the, I mean, and no matter what road we choose, we will still be reaching that destination? Is that the idea?
Hold on, I'm going to address that. See, mainly it's a collective destinations that you will walk through in life. That's how it is. Now everybody says, what's going to be my eventual destination? And that will be my destiny. No. The destiny is the kind of destinations that you will walk through to gain fulfillment in life. And to that extent, we have sufficient amount of control in our hand in terms of making those roadmap, experiments, and details. Anyone else?
Hi, sir. Good evening. Niharika here.
Yes, Niharika.
Sir, I don't have a question with demystifying destiny. I mean, I'm on the same page as you that you have mentioned, but I do have a question with regards to passion that you had shared earlier, that the 5 steps you had in your life in truly defining where you are today. Sir, I had been reading a lot of articles and a lot of content that one thing is to follow your passion, and the other thing is, grabbing of opportunities, whatever comes your way. So, sir, my question is, what is the true nature of passion, and does it rely on, grabbing of opportunities? Is it shaped by that? I mean, because I have seen the passion is truly ever changing with respect to an individual. Sir, I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
So your last line says passion is always changing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I have noticed that. I
You
wanted to
noticed
know your
that.
thoughts.
So my thought is this: what is frequently changing are a little bit of fad, fancies, and temporary distractions. See, 40 years back, I used to think, क्या कोई ऐसा प्रोफेशन है जहाँ पे सिर्फ सोच से पैसा कमाया जा सकता है? It's taken me 35 years to reach that place. But I never surrendered that dream. So I often share this story. So I used to live in a place called Sultanpur, and my house was there. Behind there was a river. And as a child, I would often sit on a swing there and spend some time. Now, when I think of that time and I look to give 3 words to that experience or memory, there are 3 words that come to my mind. Number 1, dream. I would often dream then, and I continue to dream now. Second, thinking. I would do a lot of thinking to myself. And I'll also look to make others think through my question. Third, I was alone there because my siblings had moved out. So anytime somebody will come to our place, I will always be hungry for conversation. So which are the 3 words? Dream, thinking, and conversations. Today, Niharika, I'm exactly using those 3 words in my profession as a coach. I make people think big. I make people or enable their dream come alive. I use conversation as a medium to challenge them. So the thing is to find out that activity which truly brings you alive. It may not give you money in the short run because it's not been developed to that extent in a big way. But if you continue to invest in that passion, one fine day, the monetary component will also be taken care of. And remember, a lot of people do not make enough effort in distinguishing or differentiating between hobbies and passion. Hobbies are not passion. Like for someone, coding is a passion, and that's how he or she continues to build his or her career in coding. Okay. All right. So moving forward, if there are no questions, let's move forward.
Hello, sir. Rahul this side. I have a question.
Yes, Rahul.
Sir, how to identify the right trigger or the weak signal that you mentioned to transition to the next level? And because should we trust our mind or our heart? Because oftentimes they will be at conflict.
So there are two questions in your question. Should we trust heart or mind? And the first one is, how do we identify the weak signals? Did I get your questions right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Let me answer the first question. How to identify? Couple of things. Listen to every development that's happening in your life. So I use this listen, sense, and observe deeply. When you listen, sense, and observe, कहते हैं दिमाग की एक बत्ती जलती है. Make a note of that. Journaling, daily journaling is a very powerful tool to turn your weak signals into effective one. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of dictation and request you to write down. Number one,
Sure.
when you dream, do not just think it. Ink it. I-N-K. Ink it. And link it to your daily actions. Now, can someone repeat what I just said?
Yes.
Yeah,
When
go
you
ahead.
dream it, do not just think it and link it to your thoughts.
Yes, Ashika. Now, can you explain the essence of that?
Yes, sir. So what my understanding is it's not just about dreaming, but how we try to approach towards it. How seriously are we taking it, and how what all we want to it. We need to have it. Have a clear perspective in our heads that we can ink it out, and later on, once we have it noted down, we can link it to our future ambitions. What all are we trying to achieve it?
Yes. See, unless your dream becomes a work in progress activity, like each day you are picking up one brick and building your castle, it will not truly manifest. So that is why when you dream it, don't just think it, ink it, and link it to your daily actions. It is a very powerful approach towards life. Okay. All right. Shall we move forward? So are you clear on? Yes.
Sir, the second question.
Second question.
Yeah.
Heart versus mind. Okay. I'm going to give you a very challenging statement, and I want to see how many of you agree with that. So all those agree, just type yes in the chat box, and others can say no. Decisions are made in heart, rationalized in mind. Rahul, can you get the answer now?
Yes.
Okay. See, none of you hopefully gonna get married by an analytical thinking. कि data, big data पूरा है, AI पूरा है, so let's get married. Unless your heart says, Only when your heart says, yes, there is a possibility, then you rationalize by looking at the variables. We may or may not believe because as experts, scientists, consultants, we may not agree to that. It shows us in poor light as per their perception. But that's the truth. Decisions are made in heart, rationalized in mind.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Did I answer your question now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So moving forward, let's move to another question. Is there a design of life that we can apply? Let's hear from you. Is there a design of life that we can appreciate?
No. We
So
will never,
there's no
as
specific.
as
Not as
human being,
specific.
we are never satisfied. We'll be seeking for something extra.
I think the habits that form it, that eventually becomes the design, but which eventually becomes the design.
Okay.
I think this is partly true, but there is not just one design of life that we can appreciate. I think there are a lot of designs of life that we see around, which might inspire us, but eventually what designs our life is the choice that we need to make, is what I feel.
Yeah. So maybe in a particular phase of life, there are certain things happening to us. But instead of appreciating and trying to acknowledge, we may be fighting against it. We may be in denial mode. We may be resisting it, but we may not be able to recognize the pattern in life. Like, for example, when I was having those 23 failures, I was cursing my luck. So I'm the most unlucky guy in this world. But imagine if any of those 23 jobs would have got clicked, I would not have been sitting. So that's God's way of closing those doors to eventually make you reach where you are most suitable for. Now, Diksha, it's all perspective. जैसी सोच है वैसे ही life manifest करेगी. Now, on one side, you can feel, oh, I'm the most unlucky guy. The other side, now in the hindsight, oh, there was a reason why I was not getting there. So that is what I call appreciate the design of life. See, when the failure hits you hard, you only think of doomsday scenario, but you don't take a pause and a step back. Oh, what's the message for me? What does destiny wants me to achieve? What does universe want me to achieve? Am I paying attention to that? No, you're only paying attention to the failure. That is how, or that is why we just waste a lot of time there. So let me give you this through a little bit of metaphor. So what you see here is universe. Guys, life is not linear. It is never meant to be. It's a quest. It's an exploration. If it were to be a straight line, the entire fun would have been lost. What's the point of pursuing something which is visible in your easy reach? There's no joy. So let me talk to you on this with the example of a couple of metaphors. So imagine the life to be a walk through the galaxy or the universe. What I have shown you is a kind of galaxy or universe. Now we all know that the universe has lots of empty space, planets, asteroids, meteorites, stars, and with one universal North Star, which could be our true north. Now, our path from the time we are born till we reach our true north has to pass through this empty space as well as these astral bodies. Now, let's look at this way. When you bump into or hit upon by an asteroid or a meteorite, we encounter failure. We face frustration and thus suffering a setback that delays our journey to our true north. Asteroids and meteorites consider they derail us temporarily or for a longer period of time. But when we have a tryst with a star, we meet the joy, success, glory, and happiness. Why? Because these stars have this illuminating power to trailblaze our path and fast track our journey. So on one side, we have these asteroids trying to derail us. Other side, we have stars who can fast track by millions of light years, metaphorically. Now, to reach our true north, we have to navigate through the stars, asteroids, and empty spaces. And sometimes there are these fake stars. They shine brightly, temporarily distracting us, leading away from an intended path. But unfortunately, they are not the real stars. Now, these are temptations and distractions that divert you away. So what is our aim? Our aim is to avoid these asteroids, enhance our chances of tryst with the stars to reach our true north. Now, how do you do that? So every time you hit a star or an asteroid, you do some reflection. And by doing that reflection, you develop your intuitive muscle, जिसको बोलते हैं sixth sense. That can help you find out that what is the right pattern. I love this. It's like this. These are our stars. Then there are these planets and asteroids. Then you have this true north. And you navigate yourself all along these. Now, in the universe, they are quite far apart. But closer in our life, they may be very close events in life. So design is like you have to find the pattern in the carpet. Now this is a phrase, this is a metaphor. So when certain things are happening, you have to take a pause, look back, oh, what's happening? Why I'm not able to make progress in this particular direction? Maybe it's not meant for you. Maybe it's not your design of life. But it's because your neighbor is doing, your colleague is doing, it's appealing. You just want to be there. Because socially it is far more validating and approval oriented. That's why you want to do. And then you reach 40s and 45 and say, this is not something I'm enjoying. So the catchword for you is find the pattern in the carpet. So when I reflect on those 23 failures that I encountered, now I realize, or much earlier I realize, oh, when sometime when certain things are not happening, you don't have to curse your luck. You just need to take a step back and see, oh, where I'm fitting best, what I need to do. And is this the time to change my course? And this insight helped me deal with subsequent apparent setbacks or obstacles where I was far quick to realize and change my course. So guys, these things may also look like obstacles. And as a result, I developed a new understanding about the roles and purpose of obstacles. Now let me ask you a question. What are obstacles meant for? What do you think obstacles do?
So as per me, I feel they are meant to make us think a certain way and work around the problem. They're not meant to be blockages all the time, certainly, but they're definitely there to make us think more and change our course if required.
And I like the word you said, work around. So it's like you are traveling on a path and there is a boulder. So what you do, you just work around. In life, the role of obstacles are also like that. Now, we need to understand obstacles in a little deeper way. Obstacles are not closed doors. Mark my word. They are not closed doors. They are actually those hidden pathfinders. And we see them as obstructions. And conventionally, we keep banging our head against those obstacles. But counterintuitively, the obstacles are like guiding beacons that come our way to facilitate the much needed switch, like you see the switch of railway track. You know, something that helps us reach our intended destination, fulfill our destiny, express our talent, realize our potential, and enable us to create the greatest possible impact. But we often do not switch and stay far too long on a particular course. Now, let me recommend 2 books to deepen your perspective on obstacles. The first one is by Ryan Holiday, and he chose this title. He said, "The obstacle is the way." In fact, now imagine if there is no obstacle coming in your way in a particular phase of life. What would you think about that period? Life is hunky-dory, everything is fine, you are the most blessed, lucky one? Or is there something else?
You reach a plateau.
You reach a plateau. Have you heard this term called law of diminishing returns? In economics, you read that. Okay. So obstacle is the way. And then there is this another brilliant book by Timothy Butler, Getting Unstuck. When you reach a dead end, how do you move out from that dead end? So why have you reached dead end? Dekho, from now till you hit a dead end, there were multiple diversions and routes, but you missed them, you ignored them. What is God's or universe way is to eventually bring a dead end so that now you wake up. Does this make sense or no? But we don't think that way. And I don't want you to learn this wisdom and insight after 35 years. That's why I'm here with you sharing this. The pain and the journey that I have traversed, I don't want you to feel or face. So that's about, and you know, when we happen, what happens to us when we stay too long for a particular course? We just get stuck. We are simply delaying our journey. So this is a very important question you must ask frequently. What no longer serves me? Now, in your initial 10 years of life, I think you should ask this question once in a year. When you reach 10 to 20 years of service, should you increase the frequency or decrease the frequency?
Increase the frequency.
Increase.
Increase the
Increase, because now the pace of change is much faster. So, and I've designed a little bit of exercise for you. So you can actually answer in these questions. You can take a screenshot or something. So what do I answer? What no longer serves me? My beliefs, my assumptions, thoughts, emotions, fears, perspective, opinions. Which one is not serving me anymore? So this is one slide. And then there is another one which goes like this. What no longer serves me? You're carrying on some bitterness, some angst, some hatred, some blame, guilt, shame, regret, jealousy. None of these emotions, if you carry them, you're only building your baggage of weight and carrying it upstream. No, let go. Lighten yourself. When the weight is less, your feet are more nimble. This is a very powerful question. What no longer serves me? So this is a kind of an audit template comprising 2 slides to facilitate you reflect and answer routinely what's not serving me. Guys, I said in the beginning and somewhere en route, life is not linear. It's never meant to be. So look around for those triggers. It's like this when we are walking, and triggers for the clues of future are actually in a bubble around us. Somebody asks how to identify weak signals. They're actually there. Sometimes they are so close and blindingly so obvious that we miss them. We may be too busy looking at our footsteps on a path, and there's an alternate path which is actually running like a parallel highway and actually literally beckoning it, please come, I'm your future. I'm your destiny. But we are not even looking at the direction because there's a little bit of discomfort leaving this course and taking a diversion to go into the other one. And you know, sometimes what happens, why we don't take that path? Because maybe there is a bit of haze, clouds of uncertainty, even a dark shadow, something like that Netflix series, Shadow and Bone. Has anyone seen that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you know that big shadow is looming large. Only when you get closer to it, you find there's an opening. There's a train actually there, which takes you other side. So shadow is discouraging in the initial thing because there is an element of risk. So what do? We shun the path, overlook it. And you know, while driving, when we overlook a route, what does Google do?
Suggests an alternate route.
It reroutes us. It gives you an allowance. And the allowance is, okay, by next route, you will be delayed by 20 minutes. But you know, guys, in life, the cost of rerouting is quite significant. If you miss that path, you're going to pay much higher cost in getting to that original route back. So when you do not take the cognizance of a possibility and later things do not turn your way, you blame the forces of luck. So life is not linear. It's a zigzag phenomena. It's like snakes and ladder. We cannot be caught up only looking at our feet and missing out those weak signals on the horizon. By the way, these weak signals are also not visible to us all the time. They appear to us when we are in the right frame of mind. And what is that right frame of mind? 3 things. Number 1, being open and receptive. Second, entertaining a possibility. Third, getting closer to the perceived risk. Like in this slide, the guy on the horse is actually getting closer to risk because fear from distance looks more fearful. So get closer to the risk. Many of you may have this thought, oh, financial stability, family. So all these things, if you evaluate from outside and distance, the risk will look bigger. But when you get closer to the risk, you may have a clue how to wade through that. Any question so far before we proceed?
So I had a doubt. You used the term luck when it was a failure. So wasn't that like what is basically the difference between luck and destiny? We can also say it's not in my destiny, right?
Let me give you a very simple definition of luck, and which is from my perspective. So the spelling of luck is L-U-C-K. Labor under constant knowledge. What does that mean? Labor under constant knowledge. Yeah, who will explain this to me? Take a shot.
Is it like you are still in the path to learn new things?
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Can it be also said as the luck favors those who, works toward it more?
Yeah. And Gautier has this famous quote, boldness has magic. So what I'm saying that when you fail in a particular pursuit, do not try to pursue the same mission with the same level of knowledge, with same level of effort. You must go back and reflect and find new knowledge to wade through that. When you do that, you become lucky next time. So first time it's a failure because you didn't have the right knowledge, right idea, right mindset. But when you failed, you probably codified yourself, oh, this is not for me, or I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough. No. Come back, refine your knowledge, find new insights. Einstein said that you can't solve the problem with the same intelligence with which it was created. So that's my perspective on luck and failure.
Adding to this, I had one more question. Like
Yeah.
you told, you had that vision that you want to do something related to your thought process that will be leading you towards your passion. So suppose you reached that position. So you are in a state of, let's say, whatever is your North Star right now. So what will be your next goal? Like if I again get shifted to something else, isn't it just a temporary?
Yeah, very good question. So, you know, the last part in this slide is something at the cusp of spirituality and management. So you find your next true north. It may be an extension of that. It may be completely different. Now, what will decide whether it's an extension or it's going to be different is the set of circumstances at that point of time. But you know, in all these things, there are a few things common. What are those common? Can someone tell me in all the careers, what is the common that you see?
Efforts.
Okay.
Consistency. Consistency.
All right.
It triggers, constant triggers to change.
Constant triggers.
Open to new possibilities all the time.
And one more thing. So what's my company name? In my intro, Ayush said.
Center of Strategic
Center of
Management.
Strategic Mindset.
And what is my mission statement that I said? Groom strategic minds who can deliver bold impact. So there is a constant phenomena, Archita, which is pervasive in all the domains. Okay. All right, one more question before we proceed further. Anybody?
Sir, this is Kaushik. I have a question.
Yes, Kaushik.
So, like earlier in the session, you had said regarding identifying the correct signals and approaching that correctly. And just now you took up the topic about accepting failure, like at what point you have to stop and look for new things. So, like my question is, wouldn't that inculcate a habit of, accepting failure too soon and keep on jumping to new things?
No, I never said accept failure. I said appreciate the design of life.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, see, 23 recorded failures are not less if you look at data. But the key essence is do not approach a failed situation with same level of wisdom, insights, and experience. Then it doesn't really help you. And in drug discovery, critical problem solving, you do that. When you're not hitting a solution, you go back to your drawing board, blueprint, you consider more variables which you initially missed out. All right, so what I want to give you today is something which is called a destiny map. That how do you go about, so in order to discover your destiny, you need a map. In life, anything that you search and go for, you need a map, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And then you need a GPS also. But in the erstwhile days, there was no GPS. The only star, whether it's Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and anybody. So what is this destiny map? So the destiny map, I spent a lot of time in creating this destiny map. So the D stands for destination. You have to keep choosing your destination every 2, 3 years or 5 years, that where would I be or where would I like to be? So monitor when you are not monitor those moments when you stop thinking about your destination. In other words, periodically ask this question, where would I be 3, 5 years from now? Or where would I like to be? What is E? Is experiments. Your change in destination will not happen unless you do some experiments. Yes or no? Anything you want to do, you start small. You do some experiment, test water, build your courage and conviction. So E amounts for experiments. The S includes double S thinking, which is structured and strategic thinking, one of the most sought after skills. So remember, I told you when you dream, don't just think it, ink it, link it to daily actions. That's structured thinking. Strategic thinking is thinking for long term and creating big impact. What do you think T stands for? Any idea? What comes to mind?
Time.
Training.
Time, training. Anything else? What is that one thing with T which COVID has completely stopped?
Try.
Travel.
Travel.
Yes, travel. You travel in time and space. Now, can you discover the treasure without traveling? Now, there are two kinds of traveling I'm talking about. One, you travel in time and space physically. Second is travel, you travel inward. You know, longest journey is inward. There's a quote by somebody, the longest journey is inward traveling, which means examining yourself, auditing your ideas, reflecting, adhyan, manan, chintan, whatever is the case. So T is the traveling. What do you think is I? In
Insights.
Introspection.
Introspection.
Imagination.
Okay. Who said intuition?
Sir, me, Priyanka.
Yes. The I stands for intuition. You know, there is a strange phenomenon when the weak signals are hitting your head, heart, mind. There is an inner voice which is telling you, come on, Priyanka, take this path, that's waiting for you. But we may be ignoring that inner voice. So I is an intuition. Look at the scientific phenomena, the way humans are made. There's a blueprint, there's a universe, there is something to be searched for, and where to go, there is a voice inside, which is given embedded. What a wonderful system we were supposed to be. But when we stop listening to inner voice, we are drowned in the noise, then our inner voice keeps becoming weak and weak and weak. What is N?
Network.
Wow, Archita, looks like paper got leaked. N stands for network. Write down, we are a sum of 5 people in our network. Please write down the statement. We are or I am is sum of 5 people in my network. Yes or no? वो 5 लोगों का इन्फ्लुएंस है जो कि आपका फ्यूचर डिसाइड करेगा. And if that network is not powerful enough or big enough or of a different kind of thinking, then you better look to expand or extend your network or change your network. So there's only one thing left. What do you think is why?
Youth.
Youth. Not in your control. We all get old.
Yoga, maybe.
Yoga. I haven't come across yoga revealing destiny.
You yourself.
You.
Yield.
Yield, sir.
Yield. Yield is an outcome. जिंदगी में कुछ भी हासिल करने के सबसे
Yearning.
Who said this?
Anam.
Big round of cheers. It's called the yearning for life. If you don't have a yearning, there's no scope of destiny being revealed. Yes or no? Ichha Shakti, or ambition, or quest, or learning. So, in order to reveal your destiny, these are the elements that play a big role. You have to keep coming up with the next destination. You have to keep experimenting with life. You have to be structured and strategic. Many people ask me, how did I make this transition or multiple transition? They probably do not know how much of hard work, preparation, learning went into. I routinely keep learning myself. So going back to the book which I shared, Leadership Wisdom by Robin Sharma. By the way, that was my first management or self-help book I ever read. There's a chapter in which he talks about if you take money from your wallet and invest in your learning, you'll get 3 times the money back. I'm here to tell you it has worked for me. My last big investment was on design thinking from Stanford and Institute Design Berlin, where I spent 15 lakh on myself. And in very short time, got the projects to implement that and got my money back. So ये जो belief है ना कि हर साल में 1% या 5% or 10% money I'm going to invest on my learning. Wherever you go after placement, do not depend only on your organization or L&D to invest in your learning. Decide every year this much amount of money, whether I learn through masterclass or Udemy or any other course, I'm going to invest on my own. And then you calculate your own return on investment. So that's the destiny map. And there are 3 Ds of destiny I want to talk about, and then we'll have question answer. The first one is you have to make a decision. Do not shy away from decision. When you make a decision is about your direction. Which direction you want to go. I'm going to say something in Hindi, which I really find powerful. सोच बदलोगे तो दिशा बदलेगी. दिशा बदलेगी तो दशा बदलेगी. You change your thinking, the direction will change. Sorry? Arjun, you asked something?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
No, do you want me to repeat?
No, sir. I mean, I mistakenly unmuted myself.
Oh, okay. No worries. So the first D is decision. The second D is about direction. And third is, of course, the destination. So in very simple essence, your chances of destiny truly manifesting the way it would have been ideal is a combination of what decisions you take in life, which direction you head for. When you get those weak signals, are you latching onto them to change your direction, and then setting up your destination. Now, there is something that works against these 3 Ds, and they are those 3 Cs. Now, your job is to tell me what are those 3 Cs that work against these 3 Ds.
So can I?
Yes.
Yeah, according to me, the 3 Cs would be stop complaining, stop comparing, and stop criticizing.
I like that. Although that's not what I'm going to say, but
Okay.
I still like the perspective. Stop comparing, stop complaining. What is the third one?
Stop criticizing.
Stop criticizing. Somewhere I read this, comparison is the enemy of joy. If you want to be happy and joyous, stop comparing. A lot of people say, oh, wo dekho kahan pahunch gaya, main yahan hu. Life is a long affair. Sometimes somebody else will be ahead, sometimes you will be ahead. But when you compare yourself, you lose your momentum. Anybody else like to take chance? What are the 3 C's that work against the 3 Ds?
Confusion against decision.
Okay.
So circumstances are something that are beyond control at times, and I feel that that could be one of the C's which may hinder.
Even the choices, sir. Choices could be one of the C's.
Yeah. Now, all these things make sense, and it's your art. How do you make them work for you? What I'm going to share is the 3 Ds and the 3 Cs. The first is complacency. When you become complacent, the growth limits. The second is the comfort zone. And third one is your character. So if you're complacent, you get into comfort zone, and that changes your character. Now I'm going to link destiny directly to your character. So your destiny is an outcome of the character that you build. And there's a wonderful quote which, borrowing from the ancient scripture, which goes like, yeah. So I forgot to mention one thing about when you make a decision, or when you make a choice, the choice also has a destiny of its own. You may do your best, but how that choice will play it out is not in your control. And that's where I want to be very pragmatic, that beyond a certain point of time, things are not in your control. And that's why I said, please write down this line. It will come handy for you. Accept what you can't, change what you can. Accept what you can't, change what you can. So the 3 C's are complacency, comfort zone, and character. And this is the quote which I wanted to share with you. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. And watch your character for it to become your destiny. That is why in the 3 C's, the third one is your character. So in some ways, we can conclude mathematically that destiny has a strong relevance of the character that you build. Does this make sense to you? All right, so I'm just going to take 5 more minutes to talk about something to this metaphor of set your sail. Has anyone done sailing? When you get a chance, please do that. It's a wonderful experience. So when you are trying to create your identity map, your sail is going to be impacted by winds of change. And I'm going to play 2 scenarios. One is the organizational context. Let's say if all of you become the entrepreneurs and found your own companies, the winds of change could be competition, regulation, government regulation policies, technology, customers, markets, and startups. They can disrupt. So at an organizational level, you have to be wary of these winds of change. At the personal level, lack of learning is a wind of change. Outdated expertise is another wind of change. Obsolescence, when you're becoming obsolete in a particular area. Only upgrades, no version change. What does that mean? You know, in computers, sometimes you only say upgrade, Window 9, 8, 6, 7, 10. But there's no version change. Sometimes you have to do version change. So in my life, all those 6 were version change, not the upgrades. So do not depend only on upgrades, because after a certain period of time, upgrades will not serve you. Expert mindset is a problem because expertise can be transient. That's why this beginner's mindset is very powerful. I'm very proud to say that I always cherish this beginner's mindset. हर बार, not मोदी सरकार, हर बार नए तरीके से सोचना. Insipid ecosystem, you know, I told you we are a sum of 5 people. If those 5 people are not contributing to your growth, time to change. I'm not saying cut your friendship, but in terms of triggers, you need to look at, and that's where the lackluster network is a problem. Past success, ho gaya jo hona tha. You can't be gloating about past success. Many times you'll make jobs, career changes. You'd go and talk about मैंने पिछली organization में ऐसा किया था. Nobody gives a damn. People want to know, what are you going to do it here now? and finally your ego. So the message is that winds of change will keep coming. You have to keep adjusting your sail. So I want to wrap up the entire thing with a couple of insights I spoke about. Number one, acquire and maintain a beginner's mindset. Second, define your operating space. Now draw a triangle in your notebook. Simple triangle. Now, when I define my operating space, so my operating space is a combination of three things: leadership, strategy, and culture. Now, you take your own time to define your operating space by coming up with three things. Whatever be the case: design, data, digital, AI, ML, big data. But get this clarity about what is going to be my operating space. See, in all the 6 careers, whether it's military, UN, everywhere, leadership, strategy, and culture have been my forte. So define your space. Yes, 2 things can change the course of life: weak signals, power of intentional choices, and chance encounters. Have a moonshot vision. 3 things: destination, direction, and impact. You know, people ask me, when did you think of leaving your a career to another? I said, at the peak of your game. When you're at the peak of game, that's the best time. And I think I wrote this: never think of retiring, just reinvent. You know, APJ Abdul Kalam, last day tak he was reinventing himself. Missile man, scientist, president, teacher. Yeah, this is something I wanted to share as a number. So I took this population of world 2 days ago. 10% of these people have some idea of the long term. 1% of people have a concrete vision. 0.01% have a detailed plan and battle procedure. Battle procedure is sequence of actions that they will do. 0.001% would have calendarized their battle procedure. And 0.001%, 78,659 people would have a daily checklist that links to their vision. You decide which one you want to be. Good, that's all from my end. These are my coordinates, details. Happy to take some answers. Ayush, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. If there are any questions, the floor is open.
Hi, Mr. Himanshu. Question from my side. Since you said you groom minds for strategic mindset and you groom leaders. So my question is, there is a quote which says that great leaders are born, and you can also become a leader by the designation that you're getting. I mean, managers or whatever designations we would get. So in your experience of grooming people, do you think leadership or being a good leader is something that you can inculcate via reading, or is it something which is also an inherent quality that one must possess?
Thank you for asking a very oft asked question. I am not a believer of that leaders are born alone. There can be very few leaders like Gandhi, Mandela, or Vivekananda, or anybody else. They may have been scripted differently, but most of the leadership is nurtured or groomed. And we need a couple of things. We need a good mentor. We need a good set of challenging circumstances, and we need an ambition. If these 3 things are there, you have a recipe to become a leader. Another thing, role titles may or may not be leader. Like, for example, your role could be senior manager or associate director. That's a designation. But who are the leaders? So I give you a very simple definition of what is the primary role of leaders. The role of leaders, number one, leaders open doors for future. That's why we need them. Second, the role of leaders is to create more leaders. Those are the two critical elements of truly exceptional leader. Diksha.
Thanks a lot.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry,
Niharika.
you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'll be asking a question from the strategic front. So it is widely believed that in strategy, leader always asks the right questions, but we are humans. We cannot make always the near to perfect decisions always. Like there will be a possibility of 1% error. So in such cases, like suppose we have to take some critical decision making in organizations, what would be your suggestion if we commit suppose 1% error?
If you've taken care of 99%, firstly, then you don't have to bother for the 1%. You'll find a way to come out of that. But that's on the lighter side. See, how do we minimize the chances of error? By stitching multiple scenarios. So there is a term called scenario planning. And in those scenarios, there is also something called black swan, which is a least probable event. And often the probability of a least probable event is not low, as COVID has proven. Now, I'm giving you a very simple tool. There are two questions. If you ask in a structured way, you can think or cater for many scenarios. Number one, what if? Number two, what else? If you can keep asking this question, or what if this does not happen? On what if this goes wrong? Or what if we have not thought of that? Or what if somebody else destroys? You can come up with various scenarios. And the second one is, okay, what else can we do? Where else can we go? What else we are missing out? What else we have not thought of yet? So, Priyanka, between what if and what else, there's a world of possibilities that you can consider. Okay.
Thank you, sir. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. Niharika here. Sir, I had a question regarding to your acronym for destiny, wherein you said that